in. If everyone could maybe just pop in the chat, maybe what uni they're from, what degree they're studying as well. I know some of you have also put in what city you're from as well. Maybe we can start off with that. Personally, I went to UNSW. I graduated end of 2023 now, I think. Yeah. And I studied commerce and information systems. So feel free to pop in the chat what uni you went or are going to, or if you are still studying right now. Yes, Dr. Victor, Gold Ambassador. Archana, great to meet you. Joining from Melbourne, studying at Monash University. Awesome.
Nice.
Junyan, Commerce Information Systems at UNSW, same degree as I did. Anika, Monash University, Bachelor of Business, Business Analytics and Stats. Awesome. It's a lot of things in that degree. And Elizabeth, you didn't go to uni, you did an advanced diploma in business marketing. Awesome. Deacon, information technology from Danush. Kevin, we've got a master's student of IT at University of New England. Cool.
Awesome.
How awesome. Cool. Keep that going. If you're still joining the call, feel free to join in and pop where you're from as well in the chat. We'll just kick off right now. So thanks everyone for joining this Microsoft Student Accelerator Monthly Connect session. This session is about Microsoft Student Ambassador and the MVP program. If this is something that you have no clue about, this is exactly what the session is for. We've got amazing speakers here that will talk a little bit more about their experiences today and also a little bit more about the programs in themselves. But before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land and their continuing connection to our community. We pay respect to them, their culture, the elders, both past and present as well. So I'm the host for today's session. My name is Chloe. I'm a co-pilot technical specialist at Microsoft. Like I said, I was also a university student like many of you on this call today. So I studied at UNSW with a Bachelor's of Commerce and Information Systems. So in terms of the agenda for today, firstly, I'll be going through some Microsoft Student Accelerator reminders, followed by an overview of the Microsoft Student Ambassador program and the MVP program. And also we have some panel speakers here today that will share a little bit more about their experiences being an MVP or also being part of the Student Ambassador program. And if you've got any burning questions as well, we will also be doing Q&A, so you can feel free to go off mute, also add your questions to the chat as well as the session is playing. Cool. So the first thing is just a reminder about Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. If you wish to apply to become an ambassador, there is a link on the screen here just at the bottom. And if you don't know what that is, just a little bit of a brief I can give you now, and Elizabeth will talk a little bit more about it. It's designed for students that are really passionate about technology and really eager to share their knowledge with other people. You can develop things like your technical skills and also your leadership skills through AI-driven projects and setting up things like workshops as well. We also have a Microsoft Learn Student Hub. So there's a ton of free resources on here for students where you can access things like interactive learnings, modules, and also skilling events. And again, the link is just on the screen here if you want to click on that as well. And a key call out from here is that on the Student Hub, there is discounted certification exams. I recently just did my MS 900. So as a student as well, you can get on top of that and do your certifications early as well, with discounted offers too. And you can also get like free Azure credits and also access to over 55 Azure services on this platform too. There are, again, some more free resources, and a key call that I think a lot of students have find really valuable is the GitHub Student Developer Pack, which is a fantastic resource if you're eager to learn about software development and also just practice your skills as well. And lastly as well, we are recording all our sessions, and at the end of the session, we are also uploading these onto Michelle Sanford's YouTube channel. And so there is also a link at the bottom of the screen right there as well. And so this is more of the business side of things in terms of our sessions, but we also have a technical workshops as well that I think happens after these sessions. But they're also recorded, so they're all uploaded onto here, and all the previous sessions will be here as well. Feel free to like Michelle's YouTube video, subscribe to her channel, and just stay up to date on all the sessions too. And again, the link is just at the bottom of the screen. We also have a Microsoft Source newsletter. So this is curated content for the developer community. So if you're interested in learning about new technologies and you want opportunities to connect with other developers, this is a really good source. You'll find more information about like hackathons, technical trainings, sessions, and global developer conferences as well. So if you want to just scan that QR code, that's something you're interested in, I'll just leave it on for a couple of seconds. And keep your cameras up as well. We've got a couple more QR codes too. To keep up to date with what's coming, we have Facebook and LinkedIn groups. So the left-hand side is a Facebook group and LinkedIn group is on the right-hand side. This is where you can stay up to date on the announcements that we have for different events, learning opportunities, and also workshops as well. Lastly, something also exciting is in-person events. So if you want to stay up to date with in-person events, feel free to scan the code on the right-hand side. Recently, at the end of 2024, there was actually an in-person event in Melbourne for a Microsoft Student Accelerator meetup at the LinkedIn quarters. So yeah, scan that code and keep up to date with the events that might happen in your city. Now, onto the really exciting stuff. I'd like to introduce Elizabeth right here. So she will talk a little bit more about the Microsoft Student Ambassador and the MVP program and provide a bit of an overview. Elizabeth, would you like to introduce yourself and share some of your wonderful slides to the students here?
Thank you so much, Chloe. And thanks everyone for joining today. And I'm really excited to share with you more about some programs that might be of interest to you. So what I'm going to do is just share my slides. So I'm the Community Program Manager. I sit under a team called Developer Relations. Yeah, I guess I've titled this as like build influence and get recognized, because I think when it comes to these programs, we really tap into the impact that you can make as leaders in your community. And we kind of empower you and put you on a journey to really to not only learn, but to share your skills and your learnings with others in your community and inspire your peers as well to learn and grow with Microsoft. I guess I want to just ask you some questions and you can just pop them in the chat. I want to know who's studying uni full-time. Maybe who's almost finished their studies. So if you've got like less than 6 months to go, I'd love to know that too, only because there's some different programs that could be for you that's more relevant. Yeah, I'd just love to know like where you're at in your journey, if you're full-time or if you've got, you know, less than 6 months to go until finishing. And why we do that, I kind of just wanted to start with a story. And yeah, let's take a step back. I don't know if you know who these people are, but this is Paul Allen and Bill Gates, and they're the co-founders of Microsoft. And Bill was a Harvard University student who partnered with Bill to build software for the early microcomputers. And this was actually posted a week ago on Bill Gates's LinkedIn. It's probably really small. You might be able to zoom in using the tools on Teams, but I'll reiterate kind of what it says. But the post that went with this photo said, and it came from Bill, "I'll never forget typing this letter to my senior tutor at Harvard. I didn't plan to drop out permanently, but once I left, I never quite found the time to return." Basically, this is a letterhead from Bill Gates requesting that he would take some time off from his studies at Harvard University to pursue a new business called Microsoft, and it requires his dedication and his time. And I guess Yeah, Bill and Alan's vision, was to have every household have a PC, essentially, and they then partnered with IBM, and that vision really came to life. And now here we are in 2025 talking AI and Copilot. So the impact that they had from that beginning, early stages from their vision, has really made an impact in everyone's lives. We wouldn't imagine a world without Microsoft. And essentially, I guess I just want to draw on the fact that Microsoft has been created on the foundations of student entrepreneurship, and I think that's really special. And it's kind of inspiring for where you're at in your careers, because I guess the takeaway for me is we all have a big opportunity to not only make an impact, but if we follow our curiosity, if we're brave enough to take those leaps of faith, we're brave enough to experiment and to try new things, to have that growth mindset, we all really are giving ourselves that opportunity for success. And our CEO and chairman, Satya Nadella, really emphasizes the growth mindset. And his favorite saying is, don't be a know-it-all, be a learn-it-all as well. And this kind of brings me to our programs that we have that really inspires community leaders to really make an impact in the community. So I did ask those questions earlier. Where are you at in your journey? So we have some people studying full-time with final years or a few years left, or 1.5 years left. So yeah, there's a really good mix here. And I guess this program that I'm going to introduce to you, which is the Student Ambassador Program, this is really specific for full-time university students. You've got the student MSA, a Student Accelerator Program, and that's really for everyone who wants to join in the student community. But this one in particular is dedicated to those studying full-time, with an emphasis on really building on AI projects and just wanting to be that person of influence and building their leadership as well. So I'll go a bit more details into that. If you're almost finished your studies and you're thinking about what's next, I think a really cool opportunity is the MVP program. MVP stands for Most Valuable Professional, and it's a program that we award those that are doing significant contributions in the community. So they're out there sharing content, they're organizing events, they're maybe got a YouTube channel and they're sharing educational content. They're mentoring others, they're in the forums answering questions, or you're impacting on open source materials as well. There's different ways that you can contribute, and this program could be something that you consider possibly after you graduate, but you can start sort of building that impact now. So we're going to hear from Victor and Haritha, who have both experienced these programs as well, and you hear more about their journeys as well. But just really quickly, the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador Program, there is a global community. There's about 3,500 university students in this program, and they're all learning together. We really empower you to establish yourself as an emerging leader in your community, and to really make an impact as well. Today, so there's different milestones in this program. I won't go to all the details, but there's different milestones, and gold is the end milestone you reach. And in that, we have an NDA program. And so today we just launched an invitation for gold students in this NDA program to attend our MVP summit, which is a chance to go direct to product groups, hear what they're working on, hear about the future of Microsoft, but really have an impact on what that will look like, give feedback. give examples on what's working for them, what's not working for them. And I think just to have those conversations direct with product groups is pretty special. So there's a lot of really cool benefits that can come out of the Student Ambassador program. So yeah, I guess this is just a bit of a nutshell of what's involved. So yeah, I mentioned global community. You do get access to different certifications and trainings. You get some subscriptions as well as part of your benefits. You get to support you get to build, AI projects as well that could really support your portfolio. Access to our MVPs as well, which are our experts in industry, also doing great things. I'm actually working on a mentoring program as well to really bring students together with our MVPs as well. So it's a fun community. If you're interested in being an entrepreneur, creating with AI, if you're interested in building your community leadership, and you want to be a technology influencer, this could be a really cool opportunity for you. So the way that you can apply is you just go to the studentambassador.com website. There is a button here that says get started. You'll fill out the form. You get invited onto the Discord channel, and there are some onboarding requirements, some technical things that you need to do. And once you complete those, then you will be invited officially into the program. So we just ask that you show that you're interested. You fill out some of the pre-requirements, and then you're on your way into the program, and you can explore and learn in your own way as well. So if I'll just quickly touch on the MVP program as well, if you're interested. So it's been going for more than 2 decades. I think it's closer to 30 years now. And it's Microsoft's way of saying thank you to leaders in the community that are working in industry. So it's for those that have left uni and now you're established and you're putting yourself out there in the community to really help customers and people who use Microsoft really understand it better and solve problems. So who are our MVPs? They have a really deep technical understanding of a certain product in Microsoft. So our MVPs tend to be very niche in their expertise. So for example, Haritha was an MVP and he was awarded in our AI platform because he often spoke a lot about AI tools under Azure and showed people how to implement those AI tools. So he became very niche in that. We have other MVPs that are specific in sort of business applications and automation flows and all that type of stuff. So that's another area of specialty. We have MVPs specializing in data. So it depends on where your passions lie and you want to sort of build your expertise in. Our MVP program is kind of separated by those core technology areas. And again, our MVPs do all sorts of impact. They essentially create content in ways that they love. Everyone consumes content differently, they engage content differently, or people like to be creative in different ways. Some people love to create audio content, some people love to consume audio content. So depending on where your audience lies and what you enjoy to do, I'd say follow that passion and just be consistent at it, and that's a great way to start. And I always say to those that are interested in being an MVP, some takeaways, and I always say, think about the impact that you can make in your community. Maybe you're seeing there is a gap in a particular market or a particular area, sorry. I know that Victor is sort of at this stage now where he's really kind of focused on hyper performance computing. Have I said it right? HPC, yeah.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, so we don't have, I think there's 3 MVPs around the world in the 3,500 population of MVPs that are focused on his area of passion. So I said to Victor, that's a great impact that you can make, because locally in Australia, there's not many people talking about it. And that's a really cool contribution that he can make towards the technology community. And yeah, is there a gap in the community that you could fill? So just some food for thought if you're thinking about where you want to take your career, and if you want to be an expert in something and you want to be really known for it, how can you be that key person of influence? And yeah, think about how you can share that with others. So I actually host monthly sessions on the MVP award. So if you're at that stage where you're almost graduating and you want to have a chat about how you can build your influence in a particular area, and these awards look at the last 12 months of the impact. So it does take a while to build up. So it's good to think about it early, whilst you're graduating. Maybe it's something you want to work towards. But I'm happy to have a chat. So that QR code goes to my booking link, or you can just, I'll put my LinkedIn in the chat, and just connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'm all have a chat with you in the DMs, yeah, and answer any questions. So we're going to learn more about this program, or both of them, in our panel discussion, but I'm going to flick it back to Chloe.
Thanks, Elizabeth. That was really, really helpful. Thanks for sharing. I really liked the storytelling that you did at the beginning about Bill Gates and Satya Nadella at the beginning as well. Really good call outs on the benefits that you get about AI-driven projects, the networking, and all the different contributions you can do as being an MVP and also a Learn Ambassador. I'm sure the students can take some really cool takeaways from that. Thanks for sharing. I will just share back my slides. And we're now onto the section where we'll bring some lovely panel speakers on and we'll do some Q&A with them. So I'd like to introduce Victor, Haritha, and Elizabeth once again to come, and maybe just go off mute and just introduce yourselves a little bit. Maybe Victor, you can go first.
Yep. So my name is Victor, and I'm I was a PhD candidate. I just graduated this week on Tuesday, and my area of focus has been on chemistry, computational chemistry, and chemical engineering. In my time as a student, I've also been a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador since 2020, so about 4 years. Well, that's 5 years now, actually. And I ended up being a Gold Microsoft Student Ambassador since 2023. So there's a lot I'm looking forward to sharing with you that hopefully may benefit prospective students.
Cool. And Haritha?
Yeah.
So I'm Haritha. So I'm working as a cloud solution architect, specifically in AI area at Microsoft. I have been working for Microsoft not a long time ago. So I joined Microsoft last August. Before that, I was mostly with the Microsoft Partner Network. While in the Partner Network, I was contributing as a Microsoft MVP for 8 years in the AI category. And before that, I was a student ambassador like you. So I joined the student ambassador program back in 2013. And during my bachelor's, I was contributing as a student ambassador. We didn't have this gold status or things like that. That was called as Microsoft Student Partners at that time. But yeah, it was a very exciting experience I had there. So that's me.
Cool. And we've also had Elizabeth just talk over the session just then. So yeah, Elizabeth will also be joining this panel speaker session. First question I'd love to ask Victor and Haritha is, what motivated you to join the Microsoft Student Ambassador Program, and how did you initially hear about?
I can go first, I guess. Yeah. Why I joined, I heard about the Microsoft Student Ambassador Program back in Sri Lanka from a friend of mine. He introduced me for the program. He said there's a program called Student Ambassadors happening in Colombo, which is the main city. And that's really exciting. They are having in-person events and they are giving away t-shirts. So that was the motivation I had that time to get some freebies. But I went for the first session and realized this is really good. I can build a network and this is the place I want to be. So then from there, I was an active contributor for the community and was there for a while and learned a lot from that. So to be honest, I would say student ambassador program was the one who shaped me to be the professional that I'm here today.
I think similar. I think mine is a bit similar to Haritha as well. Thanks for sharing. I think before joining the student ambassador program, I was just very actively involved with clubs in general in my university. So I ended up being being a co-founder for one of the clubs, which was in engineering and technology, because my intention, I was very much inclined in bringing together both engineering and tech. I just felt like could be a very good synergy, and through that event, long story short, I ended up inviting Microsoft over for to share with some first year students on how to what is coming up, what future prospects, and how they can use that knowledge to consider how they want to approach their studies. Along the way, so in that sense, I was a bit familiar with the Microsoft ecosystem, and around that time is when I also met Michelle Sanford. In the call, we had those game changers. We were both judges. I don't know if you remember that, Michelle, but that was in 2019. And so being aware of what's available in the Microsoft ecosystem just was very helpful to me. And the last piece in terms of the ambassador program itself was there was a program called Insiders to Campus, which was for Windows insiders to give them a chance to go over to visit the Microsoft campus in Redmond. I applied for that, and I applied for that after I met someone who encouraged me to apply. I wasn't successful, but the person who encouraged me to apply also told me that there's a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador program, and told me to consider applying for that. And initially, I thought, okay, maybe I'm more of a science engineering field, but at least to me, the perception was it's inclined more towards tech. So I was a bit hesitant to apply, but I thought I'm really trying to pick up these skills, and I do see tech skills in that sense really aiding my own journey. So I ended up applying for the student ambassador program, and ended up getting into the program. And like Haritha, it's really shaped my perspective as a student and also my perspective as a career in career going forward. So that was my motivation.
Thanks, Victor and Haritha, for sharing. I think a key call out is that both of you were also very proactive in taking that leap and signing up for this Microsoft Student Ambassador. So I think that's something that should definitely recommend to all the students. Just be proactive and take that leap. You never know where it could take you. And Victor and Haritha have had such wonderful experiences from doing so. Cool. So Victor and Haritha as well, can you share a little bit more about your journey and the experiences that you've had being a Microsoft Student Learn Ambassador?
So as a Learn Ambassador, so back in Sri Lanka, we had a lot of meetups happening. This is before COVID, I would say. Before COVID, we had a lot of physical meetings happening. In some meetings, we had around 200 plus students from all over the country, from many universities, from different disciplines. And we had a chance to interact with them and build a very good network between them and to learn together. So that's the main concept I see within the community, because if someone knows something really cool, so we get the opportunity to learn from him or she. So then the next idea is we also get the opportunity to teach someone or share our experience with someone. So that's where I built most of my community speaking practice too. So that's one of the main experiences I had during my student ambassadorship program. Plus, I had a chance to go for the Microsoft Student Ambassador Summit. That was back in 2015. So I had a chance to go to the Redmond campus by the time that was the first time I went to the campus and meet student ambassadors from around the world and connect with them. To this day, they are connected with us and sharing the thoughts and experience with all of us. So those are the main experiences and most valuable things I got from the student ambassador program.
Similar to Haritha, and I think it's in the name. It's just that aspect of learning, and it's also a sort of a safe space to learn, in that you can pick up things. So I mentioned earlier, I'm coming more from a science and engineering background, And one of the so there's Elizabeth alluded that there's milestones. So one of the for me to get to my data milestone, I had to do an event, and so it was the event that I ended up doing was actually around AI. So that initially it was cognitive AI services. I think it was Azure AI. It was a particular conversational AI. It was for a particular, and I think I was doing like a textbook Q&A. You're querying at one of my chemical engineering textbooks, and then you get an answer for that. So it was quite new to me at the time, but having that support, having ambassadors in Australia who I'm working with, who are sort of leaning into each other. So there were some who are more technical, some who I was more not of the very heavy technical side, but I could still contribute in that event. It was a bootcamp, so I had one session, but with that, it sort of gave me a taste. Okay, I can do this even though it's not super technical, but I can speak of for AI, and I can speak of it having a use in my area, and that gave me that desire. Okay, you can learn anything. It's okay. I don't have to feel like this is not my field in that sense. But then what I ended up finding, and this is one of the benefits I found, is that it became relevant to my own field. So the things that I'm learning from the MLSA program ended up actually enhancing my own studies. So to give sort of an example for that is, chemistry, so computational chemistry is it's still sort of an emerging area, and that relies on using certain tools. So I found that some of the techniques that are, on a more practical level, if you use the VS Code extension, the VS Code, for example, there's a lot of apparent. I just found that there's a lot of extensions that help make my workflow quite easy when I'm doing my computational chemistry workflow. And that is something myself. It's only myself in my whole group, and as far in the computational chemistry group, I'm the one who's only one of the only few people, if not the only one, who's sort of using VS Code this way for my workflow. So it's been a really good way for me to good and safe space for me to learn, pick up new skills, and also meet people who have knowledge, who are experts, and then for me to translate their expertise in a way that also fits my own case, and then be able to share that with others. And which is what especially I've been doing in the recent times, being able to share that knowledge to others and empower them as well. So it's been quite a good learning journey, and it's really helped me be open with learning and not be ashamed of not knowing, and just embrace any opportunity to learn, regardless of what area it's in.
Awesome. Yeah, really great advice. I think something that we really embrace at Microsoft is that growth mindset, and as well as what Victor's saying as well, like even teaching others what you've learned as well is also really helpful too. So thanks, Haritha and Victor. Question for Haritha as well is, what are some of the key skills and knowledge that you gain from the Microsoft Student Ambassador Program, and that has been most beneficial in your career?
The key skills, I would say, working with the community and networking. And the next thing is the desire to learn. So those are the main things I learned from the Student Ambassador Program. Because what I have seen is some of the student leaders back at my time was learning and empowering others to learn too. So that motivated me to learn and gain new experience rather than relying on the course units we get from the university. So that was the main things I learned from the community.
Thanks for sharing, Haritha. And question for Elizabeth. Can you provide maybe some tips on how students can make the most out of their time being in this Microsoft Student Ambassador Program?
I love that question. I think I always say follow your curiosity. And I think there are so many opportunities in this program. But yeah, just follow things that you're interested in learning, and connect, I think, with the students. It's a global community. So if you're building a project, you can actually collaborate with other students and work on that together. You could host events together and build your personal leadership skills and that branding of you as a tech leader, you can start building that by leveraging other people as well. But then also in the student ambassador community, it sits side by side with the MVP program, which is for our technical experts. So my role is to help bridge those two programs together, but there are so many opportunities where you, as a student in that program, can connect with MVPs. So I think if you're looking to network and seek those opportunities, like go to the MVP meetup groups in your local area, connect with them. There's lots of online calls that we do too. But I think also connect with Microsoft. I think you can also do that in the MSA community as well, because there's lots of speakers that come on that are from Microsoft. But when you see opportunities, yeah, if there's an in-person meetup, go to that event in the Microsoft office, because you never know who you'll meet. And then when you meet those people, don't just add them on LinkedIn, actually write a message with them on LinkedIn and say, hey, like it really resonated when you spoke about this. Like, I look forward to connecting with you and learning from you. And you never know when that encounter, it could be in 3 months, or sorry, in 3 years' time. It could be a long time, but you never know when things come full circle. So yeah, there's so many opportunities to interact with different people, to learn, to grow, to build your network, and yeah, just tap into that.
Really awesome advice, Elizabeth, around personal brand and also networking as well. It is really helpful to reach out to people that you've met and send a message, not just connect with them. And you never know where that relationship with them could take you. Could maybe land yourself a job at Microsoft one day. You never know where it could go. So definitely keep the connections going as well. So feel free to put your questions in the chat. I can see we've got a question from Junyoung. Junia, would you like to come off on mute to ask a question, or I'm happy to read it out loud as well?
Yeah, sure, I can come off mute. Hey everyone, thank you all first of all for running this event. Really interesting to hear all of your experiences so far. So yeah, I was curious, what is your proudest achievement or like a key highlight from your time in the ambassador or MVP program?
I would say during the student ambassador program, selecting myself as the best student ambassador from my country and representing my country in the Microsoft Student Ambassador Summit in Seattle was the key achievement that I had. Plus, within the MVP program, I was one of the very first MVPs that was awarded in the AI category. By at that time, there was only 6 MVPs around the world who were contributing as AI MVPs in 2017. So those are the main 2 key achievements, I would say.
I think for me, in terms of a tangible achievement, becoming a Gold Microsoft Land Student Ambassador, I think I was at that time, I was probably the only Gold Microsoft Land Ambassador at that time when I became one in Australia. And it was, I guess it meant quite a bit to me, especially as someone who is sort of from a non-tech background. So that was from a tangible achievement perspective. But from another perspective, I think I just enjoy being able to connect with people, from starting meeting different, just building a community of people around the world within Australia, and being able to be in touch with them, not just from a professional perspective, but from a human perspective. And I think that's the other aspect which I have really, really enjoyed from the MLSA program.
Cool. Thanks for your question, Junyang. We've also got a question from Namar as well. Did you guys have any influential mentors in your professional career?
Yes, a lot. So I would say there was a lot of mentors that I had during my professional career, starting from the mentors that I had during my internship. And also most of the mentors I met was from the MVP community. Because when contributing as a student ambassador, I got the chance to go for the meetups which are the meetups organized by the MVPs. I met a lot of MVP friends or like the mentors at that time. And then finally they became a really good influential mentors for me. Still now I'm getting advice from them.
Similarly, yes, I have a lot of mentors, but they don't always go by the name mentors. It's just people who are there who advocate for you and who care about your own learning and professional journey. I have met many of them, and in this call, there's Elizabeth and Michelle, both are people who have been there for me and enabling me a lot. So it's there's just, and that's what I think I mean by community. I just found a lot of people who advocate for me. So I would and help me learn and stand on my own feet. So I would say that is something is worth looking for your own career, and also from a general human perspective, really goes a long way. So yeah, I do have mentors in that sense.
I'd like to add something as well. I think it's similar to Haritha, having MVP, like fellow MVPs in your community as mentors. I would say, like, indirectly, people that I follow online are kind of like my mentors. And I'll give you an example. I have been at Microsoft for 3 years. I didn't study tech, and I was seeing an MVP doing lots of like Azure fundamental, like small group study sessions, and these people were going on to get their fundamental certification, and I'm like, I want to do that, I want to try that. And it was their content and their information that just motivated me to like believe in myself, to you know, take the 2 weeks or 3 weeks to study the fundamentals. And then I was so proud that I passed, because I didn't think I had that technical side. So there's actually a book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, and he talks about if you want to build healthy habits and like be that person that you want to be, you've got to be around a like-minded community. And so I feel like I put the link in the chat to find an MVP, and a lot of them have their LinkedIn profiles on their on their profile. So yeah, like just being on LinkedIn and just seeing all the amazing content that they're sharing, it just like inspires me, and yeah, it just opens opportunities that I never thought I'd be like, oh, I'm interested in that now, and I'm exploring that. So yeah, I definitely have indirect mentors.
Thanks for sharing, everyone. Got another question in the chat as well from Dan, I think. Hi, everyone. I have chosen a builder path. How would different paths project over time? Are we going to stick to a particular path over time?
That's probably a question for me. It's a bit specific to the student ambassador program. So great to see, Dan. You've signed up. That's amazing. So basically, your path that you choose kind of relates to the activities that you choose to showcase in the program. So to remain active and to reach certain levels into like the next milestone, you need to complete quarterly requirements, and then if you want to progress to another stage, then you need to showcase your understanding in one area and your impact, and then they sort of grant you the next level. So it's about just remaining active, but then also growing in your milestones. You can switch, I'm pretty sure. So if you find that you lean more towards building with AI and wanting to sort of be that entrepreneur side of things, and you're really encouraging people to join the startup hub, and maybe you've got your own group around that and you make a natural switch, that's fine as well. But yeah, it can be adaptable as well. But they set those paths there so you kind of get some direction into like where you can go, what to learn, because there is so much. So if you want to switch that in the future, you can.
Cool. Does anyone else have any other questions before we wrap things up? Feel free to come off mute as well. Oh, got another question. Junyan, yeah. What are some underrated skills or qualities that have helped you succeed at Microsoft?
I would say underrated skills or qualities. One thing is being open for most of the technologies. That means sometimes we stick to one particular set of technologies, and yeah, that's all good. You can be an expert on one technology, but being open for other technologies also, and getting to know those things, and open your learning mindset is one skill I think which is pretty necessary to be succeeded within a tech career. Because for an example, I'm more into the AI, but I need to know a bit about DevOps, so things like security. So that makes you a wonderful professional.
I think for me, it's being resourceful, because I have a remote role, which I love. So my boss is in Korea, my next boss is in the US. And so I don't really have immediate team members here in Sydney or in Australia. Sometimes, and also I look after APAC. So I have community that I look after in Thailand, in Singapore, in Malaysia, which is so cool. I love the diversity, but I think sometimes I just struggle trying to figure out who's who and like, where do I go? And like, I've got a question that's very regional specific, or even like I get asked to work on certain projects, and I'm like, I have no idea like where to start. But you've just got to learn to be resourceful and just ask those questions, be proactive, and go to people that might know the answer, and then you're kind of connecting all the dots. So being resourceful, I think, is super important. I think being part of a global organization. But actually it also came in handy because I came from a charity background. So sometimes in charity there's small budgets and you're wearing many hats. So that's probably startup life as well. So if you've got experience there too. So I think, yeah, resourceful is a very good skill.
Thanks for sharing, Elizabeth and Haritha. If we haven't got any other questions, I would just move on. Feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn as well if you have any other burning questions that you think of after. Just as I said, we've got a question in the chat from Dan again. What are the roles and responsibilities of an ideal student ambassador? I'm interested in AI and I would like to ground myself in AI. So how would the program benefit?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I think about what makes a great student ambassador, it's someone who is willing to learn, but then share that learning with other people. So think about being that role model and that leader for your own student peers. And if you're interested in AI, what you're learning right now, there'll be a whole group of people that don't know that yet. So yeah, explore. Don't be afraid to share your knowledge with others. If you don't think you're an expert in something, you can still teach others. You're definitely an expert in the stage that you're at. And so, yeah, just I think that community leadership is really important. So communicating, just being proactive, and empowering others and inspiring them to learn as well. You're a bit of a helper as well. Like you're kind of connecting the dots for them. They might not know where to start, but maybe you've just done your certification and someone's like, how do I get a certification at Microsoft? And you can be like, well, go here, and there's learning paths. So you're basically just sharing with them what you're learning. If you love to create content, there's a whole other set of skills there. So maybe you like to write, or you like to blog, and you're just sharing that too. So I like to summarize it as community leadership. I think yeah, the kind of roles that you play.
Yeah, that helps a lot, because I'll add a very small thing there. Because when it comes to a student ambassador, you get the chance to talk with a lot of people and sometimes conduct sessions. I remember very first session I did back in the student community was about a product called Hyper-V. So that was totally different from AI. So I was more interested in the infra side of the things at that time. But I learned about that Hyper-V and started exploring that, and because I had to do a session, right? So I had to learn about that thing. That self-learning phase gave me a good idea on how to learn and other things too. So that was a good learning I got from delivering a session.
Yeah, I think as well, like I learned this from an MVP, which really inspired me, because sometimes I have my own self-doubt if I like want to teach people stuff. But they started, I think a few MVPs said this to me. They started blogging just to record their learnings. So they started blogging their how-tos, like so they could just remember in the future, and it just became public content that they put out there. And sometimes MVPs are having customers come to them with questions, and so they're just, instead of them repeating it, it's there. So maybe in the student community, you're seeing people are really curious about, what are AI agents, for example. And maybe that's an area that you're interested in, and you want to be, teaching others the basics of that with what you're learning. And then through all that, you're building your own like thought leadership, your expertise. So when you go for that dream role, once you graduate, your employee or potential employer can see, you've got all this technical knowledge, you're curious, you're proactive. It comes with all these other really cool skills as well.
Great
Just
point.
and just a short add on that in terms of how will the program benefit. You get as a student ambassador, you get about 227, I think now, Australian dollars that renews every monthly, for which you can use on Azure for experimenting with various things. So that's a really, really good benefit, which I found is also very helpful for me, just fostering your own learning and development.
Really great advice that everyone shared. Thanks for sharing about thought leadership and also community leadership as well. It's really important to build your technical skills as well, but also building your soft skills, your networking, and also just talking to others and just being proactive as well. Have we got any other questions before we wrap up? Yep. Dan, you raised your hand.
I'm here. Hello, everyone. My question is regarding the community building. Like, when we get into this program at last, how do you build the community so that we have to I think we have to gather some kind of community so that we can leverage what we have learned so far. So how do you pick the members in our community? So that's I'm quite vague in this matter. So I want clarification on this.
What was the question? How do you build community?
Yeah, exactly. Like how do you build the community so that what you have learned, and then because you have to teach at last. So how do you leverage this community?
You're in a community already. Do you have your Microsoft Student Accelerator community? That's one
I'm
place.
really.
You've got your social channels. You've got LinkedIn. You might have a Discord community. Maybe you're on Facebook, and maybe actually, I know someone from RMIT. She started a Microsoft enthusiast club.
Yeah, Neri, you are talking about Neri.
Neri,
I know.
It's
Exactly.
so
I
good.
have already applied for that. The community. I mean, there's a club, so she had already initiated. So I applied for that.
So I guess community can be everywhere. It can be online, it can be offline, it can be people reading your blog. So you might not see them physically, but people are reading your blogs or making comments. So I guess think about it that way. Your community can be online or offline, and you're in communities already. So it's just thinking about how you can channel your information and what you already know. Where can you put that where you can get it in front of your community? So maybe there's some things that you can think about, but you might have a YouTube channel, or maybe you want to start something completely different. I'm not sure, but and it also depends on what you like to be engaging with as well. You've got to because I think as community leaders, you need to be very active in that space. You need to be consistent as well. So if you just say you do have a YouTube channel, for example, if you're doing one video a year, that's probably not a consistent way to build a community and to build an engaged community. But if you commit to say, I'm going to learn something, one new thing a week, and I'm going to do a 10-minute tutorial on it, and maybe that's a cool way, or maybe it is being part of the those clubs at your unis that really foster that in-person learning and connection. So yeah, community can look like many different things.
So there's nothing as such like have to like be confined. So it's open, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Communities are very unique. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've got another question from Amy. Victor, could you share a bit more about the program you mentioned, please? Sorry, I missed it. Which program?
Yes, not sure which program. Is it the Student Ambassador program or?
The Insiders? Did you mention?
Oh,
Insiders?
yes. You're right. I think it was Insiders to Campus. I don't know if it's still active. This was a while back, but it was a program that gives Windows insiders opportunity to go to visit the Redmond campus. Let me see if it's available. But I think it was discontinued actually, because that was pre-COVID. Yeah, so after COVID, I think that sort of just died down a bit. Yeah. But there tends to be such opportunities that come up along the way. So I think we just keep an eye out for studentship opportunities, or if you're part of special programs like the Windows Insider, Office Insider, they tend to send them to those channels as well.
Awesome. Any other questions? Give it a couple of seconds. Yep, Amy, do you want to come off mute?
Thank you, Chloe. Great session. I just have a question regarding how do we stay, current with all the new initiatives Microsoft have, please?
That's a very interesting question, because tech world is changing every day. So you need to, even I sometimes feel like getting myself familiar and getting myself up to date with almost all the things that comes in the tech world. It's pretty hard, but what you can do is you can follow most of the channels that Microsoft is having, mostly on LinkedIn. And I sometimes personally use newsletters too. And I have subscribed for most of the newsletters that coming from the major organizations when the announcements are coming out, so I can get the updates from them. So those are the main ways I keep myself up to date, plus social media. So that's another way I keep myself up to date.
Maybe I can also I could share in the reverse way, in that depends what your interest is. So for example, coming from a science background, Microsoft have a lot of initiatives that are in the science background. So it's also seeing what your area is in and looking at what Microsoft, for example, are doing in that space. So it may not be as public as maybe some other areas, but they have outlets that are doing that. For example, one of the Microsoft, some Microsoft staff are part of the Chemical Society, and they're very active there. And so I do follow them directly in that particular institution that I'm in. So there's also the other way of what your interest area is in, and then see what Microsoft are doing in that space as well. I think that could also be useful.
I think we've got a question from Isaac. What is a technology you are most excited for right now or currently learning and would advise students to get their hands on?
So on top of my head is agents. So that's the main thing I'm excited about right now. So I'm learning and doing some experiments with AutoGen, and as it announced today with Azure AI Agent Service. So those are the main that is the main thing I'm excited about, and see what are the possibilities of that AI agents.
Agree.
I'm
I think
more of a
Oh, you can go.
well, I was just gonna say I'm more of a science bro as well. So I would say one of the services which is what I look at is like high performance computing. So Microsoft are really looking into that as well. So like some services that enable you to do computational science. But I guess that's a select students. But that's what I'm looking at quite a bit in recent times. Can put it on the chat as well.
I'd like to add as well. So my role is a Copilot technical specialist. So everything right now is all about AI, Copilot, and agents. So lots of growth, I think, in that like that section of technology. Something I like to do to keep up to date is read the news as well. Specifically around Copilot there is like a website called the M365 Roadmap where you can check out all the latest updates that's rolling out to Copilot or Microsoft 365 apps. So if you do use Copilot or you want to get started on learning more about it, one of the ways to keep up to date is through there, and also just Copilot blogs as well. Huge growth in that area. So yeah. Thanks, Victor, for sending that link. And Michelle as well. Awesome. We'll just wrap up things there. We'd also really love to hear from you as well. This is the first session of the year, but we'd love to hear from you in terms of what you'd like to see in our future sessions as well. So there is a form here. I'll also pop it in the chat. Let us know what you'd like to see in our future sessions, whether that's topics around building a career at Microsoft or career in general, or skills development as well. We'd really appreciate your feedback as well on today's session too. Cool. And I'd love to thank all our lovely panel speakers today, Elizabeth, Victor, and Haritha. Thank you so much for joining here. I'm sure the students got a lot of value in that and helping answer some of their questions too.
Thanks, everyone. It was great connecting with you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.